Hey everyone, it's Shadow Libra, and Five Nights at Freddy's is officially a 10-year-old game. I've recently uploaded a full storyline video for the main 6 games, and now I want to look back and review every single FNAF release we have gotten over these 10 years. FNAF in just 10 years has released 16 games and 26 books. That is crazy. But it gives us a large variety of content to focus on for these next 10 videos. So the way this will work is I'm going to make each video based on each year. Five Nights at Freddy's was released on August 8th. So that day will be seen as the start of a new year, while August 7th will be seen as the last day of a year. August 8th, my favorite holiday, Freddy Fazbear Day. Okay, so in this video, we will be reviewing every release in year 1 of FNAF. Everything that came out in the time span of August 8th, 2014, all the way to August 7th, 2015. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's do this. Five Nights at Freddy's, released on August 8th, 2014. This game is very, very, very important to me, and a lot of other people because, you know, it's the very first game in the entire franchise. This is literally what started it all. Not a single thing this franchise has released afterwards would even exist if this game was never made. While that alone would usually give the first game a bunch of points already, I'll try not to be biased in my review, and instead I will just look at the game itself. So overall, I do like this game. When you're playing Night 1 and Phone Guy explains the whole moving animatronic situation, and then suddenly you're left in the dark as Bonnie slowly gets closer to you, it has a really creepy atmosphere to it. The sounds in the game, like Foxy singing and the circus music and the footsteps, knocking, hallucinations, posters changing, it's all placed so well. I love it. It's just a super creepy game. The fear of being trapped in a room while 4 animatronics slowly move closer to kill you. You have cameras to see how close they are getting, and your only defense is 2 doors to shut on their faces when they come close. The angles on most of the cameras are good. They show you a sneak peek of what's coming for you without revealing too much. The door defense isn't even guaranteed to work because you could run out of power. I find myself constantly watching the power when I play this, to the point where I'm scared I'm using too much, and as the night slowly gets closer and closer to 6 AM, I find myself getting more and more stressed out. It's a good game, it's a scary game, and I see why it got as popular as it did. The later nights do eventually feel repetitive when you learn the only cameras you need to actually look at consistently is Pirate's Cove and whatever room Freddy is in, but the game is still pretty stressful even after that. Speaking of which, I'm a huge fan of the way Freddy Fazbear himself is used in this game. Throughout the different nights, Phone Guy explains how to defend yourself from Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. You know what to do for them. But then on night 3 or 4, when Freddy himself finally moves, you hear him laugh. You see he has left his stage, and then on the cameras, you usually just see his eyes glowing in the darkness as he stands all the way in the back, and the game provides no instructions on what to do about him. It just leaves you in the dark to figure out how to deal with Freddy on your own. It's so good, and it really makes the title character himself feel like a huge threat. Sadly, that's something I feel like future FNAF games haven't really done. Utilize Freddy Fazbear himself, make him the most threatening. The way he's handled in the first game is just spectacular in my opinion. Also, the designs of the animatronics just genuinely look really creepy. Without anything over the top like sharp teeth or claws, they aren't covered in an over amount of blood or anything. It's just a robot bear, rabbit, chicken, and fox who you can definitely see as they were designed to appeal to kids, but something about them just feels off. It's similar to the designs of the old Chuck E. Cheese animatronics or Showbiz Pizza, which are probably both inspirations in the game's setting. The pizzeria's design is good too. It really does look like a run-down kids restaurant, meant to bring people joy, but when it gets dark and no one else is here, it's like the pizzeria has a shift in tone. The first game is super simple in terms of gameplay. It's a very small game, a quick experience, very, very easy controls. I mean, you literally only have to move the mouse and click things. Anyone can use the controls on this game, even if you have never played a video game. But even though it's a small game, there is so much thought and detail put into it, which is crazy when you realize this was one of Scott's last attempts at making a video game before giving up. It really shows how much he just enjoyed making games, even if no one was playing them at the time. So overall, I think Five Nights at Freddy's is a really good game. It's what started everything, and it really means a lot to me and a lot to others. And I think the game holds up really well even after 10 years. Scott cooked when he made this, and it paid off.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Hello? Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then chances are you've made a very poor career choice.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2, released on November 10th, 2014. Okay, so this is going to be a very hot take because I know a lot of people love this game, but personally, I don't think FNAF 2 really holds up. But first, I do want to say all the things I like about this game. The pizzeria looks cool, and maybe even better than the design of the first game's pizzeria. I don't know why, but I've always felt more nostalgic for the FNAF 2 pizzeria over the FNAF 1 pizzeria. The animatronic designs are very good. The toys are iconic and have pretty neat designs to them. I've heard people complain about the toys not looking that scary, but I think they do look creepy in some positions. Mangle is also a pretty crazy design. I still think he's one of the most unique designs in the whole franchise. She's also the only toy to get variants like a Phantom and a Nightmare design. Notice what I did just now? The whole Mangle gender debate was so funny. I love how Scott commented on it by saying Mangle's gender is yes, which I guess means referring to Mangle as male or female are both correct. Anyway, I like Mangle. I also like the Easter eggs in this game, like the shadows. The shadows I have always been interested in learning more about. That's why Shadow Freddy was one of my favorite FNAF characters for so long. The puppet is an awesome design too. and she is the center of this whole game. I always find myself stressing out making sure I have the music box wound up. The Withereds are so cool. Look at these guys, especially Withered Bonnie and Withered Chica. Bonnie is over here just casually not having a face, while Chica lost her hands and her beak is wide open. It looks like these animatronics have just been forgotten for a long time. Withered Golden Freddy is the superior Golden Freddy design in my opinion. I like it better than the one from the first game. I also think the game mechanics are pretty cool. Also, I find it crazy how lore heavy the Freddy mask mechanic is. When the game came out, the explanation we were told by Phone Guy was that their facial recognition detects you as an animatronic, but with future content we got, we learned that the spirits inside the animatronics actually see you as one of them when you wear the mask, explaining why William wears the Spring Bonnie suit while interacting with the kids. I just think that's cool how something probably no one thought about ended up being super important to the grand scheme of things later. Also, the death minigames are pretty cool as well. I think it's a very unique way to show us the backstory without us being forced to watch cutscenes or stuff like that. The death minigames feel like a special thing every time you get one. Usually when you die in FNAF 2, you just restart the night. But there's a rare chance you will get a minigame showing William Afton killing kids, or the puppet trying to help those kids, or whatever. It's cool to get them. While there are a lot of good aspects in FNAF 2, I do have some issues with it. The music box mechanic, for example, while I understand it was implemented in the game to be used as a way for the player to not just sit in the office for the whole game and instead give us reasons to actually use the camera, that's the problem. The music box is literally the only reason to use the cameras at all, and because of how quickly it starts to run out, especially on later nights, the music box is always the only camera I find myself using throughout the entire game. Even when I watch Let's Plays, it's always just the music box camera I see people use, which is unfortunate because there are a lot of cool angles for the other animatronics in the different rooms, but you never see any of them because of the stupid music box. It's not good. Personally, what I would have done is I would make the music box available to use on any camera. That way you could still look around for the animatronics, and all those different positions they are in their different rooms would not be wasted. That's really my main problem. It makes the rest of the game repetitive. You check a vent, check the hall, check the other vent, wind the music box, and you just do that for the whole game. Also, I feel like a lot of this game is just FNAF 1, but add more. The first game was a formula of 5 nights checking cameras while animatronics slowly move closer to you and wanting to kill you. Every night you get messages from a previous guard who fans have nicknamed Phone Guy. You get a paycheck after 5 nights, do a bonus 6th night, and then a 7th night where you get to customize all the animatronics AI, and that gets you fired afterwards. FNAF 2 is 5 nights of checking cameras while animatronics slowly move closer to you, trying to kill you, and listening to Phone Guy's messages. You get a paycheck after 5 nights, then you can do a 6th night and a 7th night where you customize the animatronics AI, and then you get fired. But this time, there's more animatronics and more rooms to look at. Something I love about FNAF is that every new release feels very unique and different compared to its predecessor. However, with FNAF 2, I feel like this was just the first game, but with more animatronics. It did quantity over quality. But hey, I think after that, the games have only gotten better and better. I can also forgive FNAF 2 since it was still super early into the series. Well, with that out of the way, let's move on. Five Nights at Freddy's 3, released on March 2nd, 2015. Huge step up from FNAF 2, in my opinion. Springtrap. He is one of the most iconic designs, not just in FNAF history, but in horror game history. The rotten design of the rabbit and the eyes that just stare right at you. That alone looks creepy and old, and then you see the corpse of William Afton, a child killer from the 80s, is inside the suit. Springtrap gets much scarier when you look at him and realize this is the man who caused everything. This is the man who killed the kids, causing the animatronics to become possessed, causing all the pain the kids' families went through and the horrors many guards at Freddy's had to experience. This man caused all of it, and now he is fused with his own creations, and his only goal is to continue his legacy, bring pain to others, and give in to his sadistic nature. In the first two games, while the animatronics were technically the enemies, you were always able to sympathize with them a bit, knowing they were possessed by spirits of kids. The animatronics are victims who only attack because they are scared of adults. They were hurt by an adult, and now they fear that any adult who enters their new home are out to get them, so their response is to kill, hurt them before they could get hurt. However, William, Springtrap, he is fully aware of what he's doing. He just loves to kill, and that makes him much scarier than the other animatronics. These guys have a human, sympathetic side to them. Springtrap does not. What makes it even better is Springtrap is the only animatronic you face off against in the entire game. Also, if you want to get super deep into lore, there's also the plot that you are playing as William's son, making this game a father-son 1v1, the father who caused this whole mess against the son who is trying to fix everything. It makes FNAF 3, as Scott said, a very personal experience. Plus, the way Springtrap moves, while the other animatronics are in very obvious locations in the first two games when checking the cameras, Springtrap plays it smarter. He hides. He is very difficult to spot. You actually have to try to find him, showing William is good at hiding as he slowly tries to outsmart you and move closer so you can meet your doom. Springtrap aside, the setting is also unique. Instead of taking place at just another pizzeria, FNAF 3 takes place at a horror attraction designed to be based on the rumors of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This allows the design of the location to get very unique, and you can mess around with it however you'd like. It's not meant to be a place for kids, it's meant to be a spooky Freddy's-themed haunted house, which makes the place and the rooms stand out quite a bit. I also like how Scott snuck Phone Guy back into the third game. Since at that point in the story, Phone Guy is dead, Scott had given us old tapes to listen to made by Phone Guy back when Freddy's first opened. That way, he is still able to be in this new game without having to retcon his death back in the first game. The Phantoms are very underrated, but they do make the game kind of annoying at times, and it becomes a bit of a jump scare fest since the Phantom animatronics cannot kill you, but only break your equipment. I'm not the biggest fan of the Phantoms, but I think their designs being burned is cool foreshadowing. My favorite part of FNAF 3 is the mini-games. Every night there are objects you can interact with, and that brings you to a mini-game, where you explore someone's memory. This is not a lore video, so I'm gonna try to avoid talking too much about theories, but I do think the evidence points to these memories being Garrett's. Anyway, you explore the memories and find secret walls to glitch through, which brings you to the spirit of one of the kids. The kids' souls are trapped inside each of the memories, and it is our job to help those kids and free their souls. It makes for a really heartwarming ending. The Happiest Day minigame shows the children's spirits: Charlie, Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy. The kids whose lives were sadly stolen from them many, many years ago. They have been trapped in these animatronics for decades, but now in the Happiest Day, they are able to rest. Their spirits are sent off into heaven. Their spirits are now at peace. It's a happy ending, but also a sad one. Their lives were robbed, it's not fair to them, but now they are in heaven, which is a much better place and a much more beautiful place than Earth. The children can finally be with their families again. The mini-games and story really carry FNAF 3 in my opinion. I really enjoy this one the most out of the first 3 games because it makes for a really happy ending. Five Nights at Freddy's 4, released on July 23rd, 2015. This game is so good. FNAF 4 still, in my opinion, holds itself up as one of the scariest FNAF games in the entire series. The only one that beats it, in my opinion, is Help Wanted. FNAF 4 is scary because you're in a room, alone. Unlike the previous games, there are no cameras. You aren't able to look at the animatronics' exact locations. Instead, you are forced to listen for their footsteps. Sound is very important to this game. You need to listen to the animatronics' every move they make to know if they are close. The game is pretty much impossible without any sound. You have to listen to Bonnie and Chica slowly come towards you, along with Foxy, and the Freddles on the bed get louder and louder as they try to summon Nightmare Freddy. All you have is a flashlight, but every time you go to a door, it feels like a game of Russian roulette. When you go to a door, there's a chance one of the animatronics could be inches away from your face. If you use the flashlight when this is the case, you will be jump scared and killed. However, you cannot see if the animatronic is there or not unless you use the flashlight. The only way to tell is you have to listen for soft breathing. Even then, there's still a level of uncertainty. If you hear breathing, you must shut the door, and then you have to listen for the animatronic's footsteps to know if they left. Like I said before, sound is the key to beating this game. The reason to use the flashlight in the first place is if they are at the very end of the hallway, the light is the only thing that will make them go back. And if they stand at the door for too long, the animatronics will walk into the room and get you. So you constantly have to run around repelling animatronics. If Foxy slips into your closet, it makes the game a lot harder and stressful. I also like how the later nights do a switch at 4 AM, and instead of the main four coming after you, instead you are against Nightmare Fredbear or Nightmare, who you have to be extra careful about, listening for every single move they make. Even the fact if they laugh or not when moving is super important. Because if they do laugh, that means they are either at the bed or in the closet. The plush trap segments are also unique, but like the rest of the game, it relies on sound. Fun with plush trap seems to be a way of getting the player to understand what this game is all about. You must listen to plush trap's footsteps as he slowly makes his way towards an X on the floor right in front of you. If you turn on the flashlight, he will not move. You can only use it if you're sure you will catch plush trap. But if you're too slow, you end up with a jump scare. I also think it's cool how beating the minigame will allow you to skip the next 2 hours of the next night. It's a neat addition. Along with all the sounds you are required to listen to, there is also a lot of background noise such as game ambiance, laughing, cars driving by the house, a dog barking, and even Phone Guy's message in the very first game is being played backwards. That forces the player to have to really pay attention to what you listen to. You have to learn which sounds are meant to be tuned out and which ones you are meant to focus on, which adds to the difficulty and the stress when playing this game. I think the only thing I'm not crazy about with this game, and this will sound weird, but it's the designs of the animatronics. I get what Scott was going for when designing the nightmares. He wanted them to be something where if you were a child and you saw that thing, you'd be in tears, running away screaming for your life. My issue is, remember how in the FNAF 1 segment I was praising the animatronic designs for not being over the top by having sharp claws and teeth or being covered in gore? While the nightmares aren't gory at all, they are given those sharp teeth and claws that I'm not crazy about. I just feel like it's trying too hard to be scary, while older designs like the classics, Wizards, the Puppet, BB, and even Springtrap did not feel like that. They just looked genuinely creepy. My friend Spencer, a few years ago, showed me something he looked up called FNAF 4, but it's actually something you would see in a nightmare. These, in my opinion, look much scarier than the actual nightmare animatronic designs. However, that's really my only problem with the game. Let's talk about the minigames. The minigames in FNAF 4 are brutal. We see the life of William Afton's youngest son, Garrett. Surprise, surprise, being the son of a child murderer while being a child yourself is not fun. We see how William manipulates Garrett in his day-to-day life, trying to convince Garrett that the animatronics are evil and are out to get him, that the only friend he can trust is his Fredbear plush. Michael does not help with this at all, as he is playing into his little brother's fears, constantly jumping around the house wearing a Foxy mask. It's a horrible, horrible thing to do to your little brother, even if you have no idea about the trauma he's gone through. But nonetheless, I love the fact that this was our first look into the lore of the Afton family. We see Garrett's days of being abused by his father, bullied by his brother, and the other neighborhood kids until one day, the fear does become real, on his birthday, no less, when Michael and his friends play a prank shoving Garrett's head in Fredbear's mouth, which causes Garrett's head to be crushed, and he eventually dies in the hospital after being put into a coma. Wow, that's really sad and horrible, but again, story-wise, I think it's interesting. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is really one of the best FNAF games there is. Now, that's it for this video. That was every single FNAF release within the first year of this franchise. Lots of good stuff, but another fun segment at the end of each video is I'm going to say what my favorite release of each year is. So, out of all the stuff I reviewed in this video, my favorite FNAF release is Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This game is just too good, with the constant fear of the animatronics being too close to you, and having to frantically check every side of the bedroom. It's super stressful, and I love it. Now, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone!